Reality begins not with what is seen, but with what is observed. Before your gaze falls upon it, before your awareness acknowledges its form, everything around you exists in a state of potential, suspended in a quiet sea of possibility. The walls that appear solid, the air that seems invisible yet palpable, the ground beneath your feet. None of these are as fixed as they appear. They hover as probabilities, uncertain, fluid, waiting for a witness to give them shape. The idea that your conscious observation could carry such immense power might seem unbelievable at first. Yet, within the realm of quantum mechanics, this has been demonstrated with startling clarity. The smallest particles of existence behave as waves when unobserved, spreading into countless options across the field of probability. But the instant they are observed, they collapse into a single, definite reality. This principle, known as the observer effect, reveals something profound. You are not a passive bystander drifting through a predetermined story. You are a creator, collapsing one possibility into being, while countless others remain unseen, waiting. Consider the groundbreaking double-slit experiment. Physicists fired subatomic particles toward a barrier with two slits. When no one observed them, the particles behaved like waves, spreading into a pattern of infinite possibilities, as if they could exist in many places at once. But when measured, when attention was placed upon them, those same particles abandoned their wave-like behavior and became particles with fixed positions. Observation itself, the very act of awareness, transformed them. From this discovery emerges a startling truth. The same principle governs your daily life. Right now, multiple versions of your future exist simultaneously. In one, you thrive with joy, love, and abundance. In another, you remain locked in repetition, clinging to fears, regrets, and scarcity. Between them, infinite variations ripple like unseen waves. None of these futures are guaranteed. All of them exist. The one that becomes your reality depends not on luck or destiny, but on what you consistently choose to observe. Most people live under the illusion that circumstances are fixed. They believe their lives are dictated by external events, that the script of their story was written long before they began to act it out. But this perspective ignores the truth demonstrated at the quantum level. Life does not unfold independently of your awareness. Instead, your focus determines which version of life you experience. Every thought you repeat, every emotion you linger on, every detail you give your attention to is a choice. And with each choice, you collapse one of the infinite futures into form. When you wake up and immediately check for problems, rehearse past failures, or reaffirm your limitations, you are not simply observing what is. You are choosing to strengthen it. You are casting a vote for that timeline to continue. By contrast, when you direct your attention toward possibility, abundance, or new growth, you open a doorway to another timeline, one where these qualities manifest. The field of reality is impartial. It does not judge your focus as good or bad. It responds faithfully, reflecting back whatever you most consistently observe. This is not about wishful thinking or naive optimism. Quantum mechanics reveals that observation shapes reality, but it also shows that the collapse of potential into form follows principles of coherence. A stray thought or a fleeting wish is not enough to transform a fabric of reality. What matters is sustained observation, attention infused with emotional energy, clarity of intention, and inner alignment. Just as a radio must be tuned to a precise frequency to receive a clear signal, your consciousness must align in coherence for the quantum field to respond with clarity. Think of two people facing the same event, a job loss. One observes it through the lens of limitation, fear of scarcity, rejection, and failure. Their observation collapses a timeline of struggle. Another observes it through the lens of opportunity, growth, reinvention, expansion. Their observation collapses a timeline of possibility. The external circumstance is the same, but the reality that unfolds for each person is radically different, shaped by the quality of their observation. This principle applies to every aspect of life. Health, finances, relationships, creativity, all respond to the focus of your awareness. If you continuously observe your body with judgment and fear, you reinforce struggle. If you observe it with gratitude and vitality, you begin calling forth health. If you observe money as scarce, it reflects scarcity. If you observe abundance as natural, you invite it closer. The observer effect transforms existence from something happening to you into something happening through you. Every moment, you are transmitting an energetic signal, and the universe mirrors it back. This is why some people seem to effortlessly attract success, while others, despite equal effort, remain trapped in cycles of difficulty. The difference lies not in worthiness or luck, but in observation. Yet the challenge is deeper than conscious desire. You may spend 20 minutes each morning visualizing prosperity, but if the rest of your day is spent unconsciously observing lack, the dominant signal is scarcity. The unconscious mind, with its constant stream of habitual thought, broadcasts 24 hours a day. Unless brought into awareness, it overpowers fleeting moments of conscious intention. This is why becoming aware of unconscious patterns is essential. Every automatic reaction, every repetitive emotion, every silent story loop is an act of observation shaping reality. To transform your life, you must catch yourself in these patterns and redirect your focus, not with harshness or judgment, but with gentle presence. Awareness itself is the first step in shifting the field. When thought and emotion unite with clear intention, coherence is achieved. This coherence functions like a blueprint imprinted onto the quantum field. It is not enough to say you want abundance if your emotional state vibrates with fear. It is not enough to affirm love if you unconsciously believe you are unworthy. The field responds to the dominant vibration, not to the words spoken. To shift reality, thoughts, emotions, and unconscious beliefs must align. This is what neuroscientists like Dr. Joe Dispenza have demonstrated. When coherent intention is paired with elevated emotion, measurable changes occur in brain patterns, biology, and electromagnetic fields. Physicists like Amit Goswami emphasize that consciousness is a foundation of reality, not the byproduct of matter. Thought leaders like Bob Proctor remind us that it is not surface thinking, but sustained energy that creates. Together, their work converges with ancient spiritual practices to affirm a timeless truth. Reality is consciousness expressed through observation. The external world is a mirror. It does not cause your experience. It reflects it. Attempting to change the reflection without altering the source is futile. Many strive to transform conditions externally, chasing money, seeking validation, demanding circumstances shift, while neglecting the inner state that fuels observation. But the mirror cannot change until what it reflects changes. Here lies a profound shift. You are not waiting for life to change. Life is waiting for you to change how you observe it. Every moment offers the opportunity to shift focus, to withdraw attention from limitation and place it on possibility. This is not denial of present circumstances, but recognition that present circumstances are not fixed. They are the outcome of past observation, and new observation begins shaping a new outcome immediately. To live as the empowered observer is to reclaim your creative authority. It is to stop reacting to what already exists and begin consciously choosing what will exist next. It is to recognize that the power of creation lies not in struggle or effort, but in attention. Wherever attention dwells, energy flows and reality forms. This realization demands practice. Observation must become deliberate. Focus must become sacred. You were not placed here to passively witness what already exists. You were placed here to bring the invisible into form through the power of awareness. Every time you hold in mind an elevated possibility, paired with genuine emotion, you collapse a new reality. Each breath becomes a brushstroke on the canvas of existence. When you observe limitation, you amplify it. When you observe potential, you activate it. The choice is never withheld from you. The field does not demand perfection, only consistency. To maintain coherence, thought, emotion, intention aligned, is to resonate with the frequency of your desired reality until it stabilizes and manifests. Your current conditions are not the final word. They are the echo of past observation. By observing differently, you write a new script, collapse a new wave, shape a new form. To live from this awareness is to step into the role of conscious creator. The power of observation does not lie in fleeting moments of imagination, but in the steady current of awareness that runs through each breath. The field is not swayed by scattered desires or casual affirmations. It listens to what you embody consistently, to the vibration you broadcast when you're not trying, when you are simply being. This is why transformation is rarely achieved by effort alone. Effort attempts to manipulate the external world while leaving the inner state unchanged. But observation is more subtle, more profound. It reshapes reality not by pushing, but by aligning. Energy follows awareness. Wherever awareness rests, energy accumulates, patterns stabilize, and form emerges. Most people unknowingly reinforce the same patterns day after day. They awaken and immediately direct their attention toward problems. They rehearse limitations, replay disappointments, and dwell on fears. Each act of focus is an act of creation, and thus the same timelines collapse into their lives over and over again. They are not cursed, nor are they victims of fate. They are creators unaware of their own power, repeating the same unconscious observations until those observations harden into familiar circumstances. To break this cycle requires a shift in how you use your attention. The moment you realize that every thought infused with emotion is an observation collapsing potential into form, your relationship with focus transforms. What once felt like idle daydreaming becomes recognized as quantum instruction. What once seemed like habitual worry becomes exposed as the reinforcement of unwanted outcomes. Take, for example, the act of dwelling on scarcity. You may believe you are simply noticing the lack of money in your account, but in truth, you are amplifying that lack. You are feeding it with the energy of your observation, ensuring it remains a reality you experience. Conversely, when you hold a vision of abundance, not as wishful fantasy, but as an already existing possibility, and you emotionally invest in that observation, you begin collapsing abundance into form. The difference is not an external effort, but an internal focus. This is not to say external action is irrelevant. Action flows naturally as a consequence of coherent observation. When you observe possibility with clarity and emotion, opportunities arise, choices become evident, and inspired actions follow. But the foundation is always observation. Without it, action becomes random, inconsistent, or forced. With it, action becomes aligned, precise, and effective. Consider the metaphor of tuning a radio. If your station is set slightly off the desired frequency, the sound will be distorted, filled with static. You may strain to hear the music, but the interference persists. This is a state of incoherence. Conscious desire pulling in one direction, unconscious belief pulling in another, emotions resonating elsewhere entirely. The signal is mixed, and so are the results. But when you tune precisely to the right frequency, the music emerges clearly, effortlessly. This is coherence. Thought, emotion, and belief aligned. The signal is strong, and reality responds accordingly. Coherence is the art uniting all aspects of your being into harmony. It does not require perfect thoughts at every moment. It requires consistent alignment, a dominant state of resonance with the reality you wish to create. The universe does not demand flawlessness. It reflects the overall signal. If the majority of your attention vibrates with scarcity, scarcity will manifest. If the majority vibrates with abundance, abundance will manifest. The quantum field is impartial. It mirrors with precision whatever frequency is broadcast most consistently. To cultivate coherence, you must first become aware of what you are unconsciously observing. This is a hidden dimension of creation. The background thoughts, the automatic emotions, the familiar stories replaying beneath conscious awareness. You may consciously declare prosperity, but if your unconscious mind is quietly affirming lack, the field will respond to the dominant vibration. The unconscious runs without pause, and thus it often outweighs brief moments of conscious focus. Becoming aware of unconscious patterns is not about self-criticism. It is about reclaiming power. Each time you catch yourself observing limitation, you create a gap between stimulus and response. In that gap lies choice. And in that choice, the possibility of transformation. Awareness itself is a quantum tool. By observing your own patterns without judgment, you begin loosening their hold. By redirecting your focus with compassion and intention, you begin reshaping your reality. The practice of observation extends beyond thought. It includes emotion, for emotion is a fuel that gives observation weight. A thought without feeling is like a blueprint never constructed. A thought infused with emotion is like a blueprint handed to skilled builders with the energy to bring it into form. This is why emotional coherence matters. To observe abundance while feeling fear is incoherent. To observe abundance while feeling gratitude is coherent. The field responds to the emotional frequency, not the intellectual wish. This principle explains why certain patterns seem to repeat endlessly. Identical thoughts produce identical emotions. Identical emotions trigger identical choices. Identical choices create identical realities. It is not cosmic punishment. It is precise mechanics. When you repeatedly observe the same pattern, you repeatedly collapse it into form. Change requires breaking the cycle by shifting observation, which in turn shifts emotion, choice, and outcome. Imagine two timelines stretching before you. In one, you remain bound to past limitations, replaying the same thoughts, feeling the same emotions, and experiencing the same outcomes. In the other, you step into an elevated version of yourself, free, expansive, abundant. Both timelines exist simultaneously in the quantum field. Which one becomes your lived reality depends on which one you consistently observe. You are the chooser, the collapser, the creator. To embody this awareness is to become the silent observer, the part of you that sees without judgment, that witnesses with clarity, that holds steady in presence. The silent observer does not panic when circumstances appear limited. It does not grasp or resist. It understands that reality reorganizes itself not through struggle, but through presence. The field collapses when observation is infused with certainty, when focus is coherent, when attention becomes sacred. Living as a silent observer is not passive. It is the most active discipline of all. It requires vigilance over where your attention dwells, not with harsh control, but with calm awareness. It requires withdrawing attention from patterns of fear and placing it gently, repeatedly, on patterns of possibility. It requires the courage to observe what is not yet manifested as if it were already real, trusting that the field responds not to appearances but to frequency. This is why ancient teachings emphasize stillness, meditation, and presence. These practices train the nervous system to remain coherent even amidst uncertainty. They teach the mind to release its grasping at appearances and to settle into pure observation. Modern science now measures the effects, shifts in brainwave patterns, changes in electromagnetic fields, physiological transformations. But the essence remains timeless. Presence collapses possibility into form. The external world may tempt you with distractions, pulling your focus toward problems, fears, and old narratives. The ego may whisper that you are not enough, that nothing will change, that proof must come before belief. But the field obeys the silent observer, not the doubting mind. Each time you return to presence, each time you choose to observe possibility with coherence, you rewrite the script of your life. Observation is the sacred key. Focus is the tool. Emotion is the fuel. Coherence is the state. With these aligned, reality bends. Not because you forced it, but because you allowed it. Not because you begged the universe, but because you embody the frequency that makes the universe respond. Your life is not a test. The universe is not withholding blessings or punishing mistakes. It reflects only what you broadcast, faithfully, precisely, neutrally. To transform your life, you do not need to earn worthiness or prove yourself. You need only to shift what you observe, to align your vibration with the reality you choose. The field does the rest. Every moment of your life can be understood as a dialogue between your awareness and a field of infinite potential. Though the dialogue is silent, it is unbroken. Each thought is a signal, each emotion a frequency, each observation a declaration. The field listens faithfully, reflecting back not what you hope for, but what you habitually broadcast. When you look at your circumstances and declare them unchangeable, you are unknowingly choosing to sustain them. The act of recognition, repeated with emotional weight, anchors them deeper into being. You tell the field, "This is what I wish to continue," and the field complies without hesitation. But when you begin to shift your gaze toward what is not yet visible, toward what lives only as possibility, you offer the field a new instruction. You invite another version of reality to stabilize, and with time, it does. This is why the present moment is so powerful. It is not just a point between past and future. It is the fulcrum of creation itself. At every instant, you are casting votes for one reality over another, directing energy toward one timeline while leaving countless others untouched. The past does not dictate this choice, nor does the future. Only the present moment, and where your attention resides within it, determines which wave collapses into form. Yet many remain caught in cycles of repetition because they mistake the mirror for the source. They see financial struggle and think it proves scarcity is real. They see loneliness and think it proves love is absent. They see illness and think it proves health is impossible. They forget that the mirror shows only what has been observed, not what must be observed. They forget that by changing the source, the focus of awareness, the reflection must eventually change as well. The key is consistency. Occasional bursts of positive focus cannot outweigh the constant hum of habitual observation. If 90% of your attention is on limitation, 10% of focus on possibility cannot balance the scale. The field responds to the dominant signal, and until the dominant signal changes, the reflection remains the same. This is why the practice of conscious observation is not a one-time effort, but a lifelong discipline. It is why meditation, visualization, and mindful presence hold such transformative power. They train the mind to remain with possibility rather than defaulting to limitation. They cultivate the ability to choose, moment by moment, what reality will be given form. Imagine your consciousness as a spotlight in a vast dark theater. The stage is filled with countless scenes, each representing a potential version of your life. Most remain hidden in shadow. Wherever you direct the beam of your awareness, that scene comes into view. The more you keep your focus there, the more vivid and stable it becomes. If you turn the light toward fear, fear becomes a scene you inhabit. If you turn it toward joy, joy becomes your world. The stage is infinite, but your experience depends entirely on where you place the light. This spotlight is not neutral. It carries energy, and energy intensifies what it touches. When you shine on a thought repeatedly, you energize it, feed it, stabilize it. Over time, that thought crystallizes into form. This is the mechanism behind repeated patterns in life. It is not punishment. It is physics. The spotlight shines again and again on the same place, and so the same reality repeats. But you are never bound to one scene. At any moment, you can shift the light. At any moment, you can choose to observe a new possibility. It may not appear instantly, for the old scene still holds momentum, but with persistence, the new observation gathers energy. Eventually, it overtakes the old, and the stage rearranges itself to reflect a new focus. This practice does not demand struggle. Struggle belongs to the realm of forcing outcomes. Observation belongs to the realm of allowing outcomes. The field does not require you to push. It requires you to align. Your task is not to demand reality conform to your wishes, but to hold your focus steady until reality cannot help but follow. Consider the realm of relationships. If you continuously observe others as untrustworthy, unreliable, or selfish, the field reflects these qualities back. You attract experiences that confirm your observation. But when you shift your gaze to see people as capable of growth, as fundamentally good, as deserving of love, you invite those aspects to emerge. The same individuals may appear differently in your life because your observation is calling forth another facet of their being. You are not imagining something false. You are choosing which version of them to collapse into your reality. Health follows the same principle. If you observe your body as weak, failing, or broken, the field responds accordingly. If you observe it with gratitude, vitality, and resilience, you energize those qualities. Over time, the physical form begins to mirror the observation. Money, too, flows according to perception. To see it as scarce is to collapse scarcity. To see it as abundant is to call forth abundance. The external reflects the internal every time, not as metaphor, but as precise, energetic correspondence. What you observe with coherence becomes the blueprint of your life. Thought provides the structure. Emotion provides the energy. Belief provides the stability. When these align, the blueprint is etched deeply into the field. The universe does not analyze or judge the design. It builds faithfully according to the plan provided. This is why aligning unconscious patterns is crucial. The conscious mind may draft one blueprint, but the unconscious often submits another. If the conscious says abundance but the unconscious says lack, The field follows a dominant plan. To align the two requires awareness, seeing the unconscious beliefs, questioning them, and gently replacing them with new observations. This is not a battle, but a gradual shift, a re-education to self, a steady realignment of focus. As you become more adept at this process, you begin to experience what many call synchronicity. Coincidences align, opportunities appear, doors open without strain. These are not random. They are the field responding to your coherent signal. When you broadcast a clear frequency, the world reorganizes to match it. The improbable becomes ordinary. The unexpected becomes natural. You are not forcing these outcomes. You are witnessing the inevitable reflection of your observation. The silent observer understands this deeply. It does not chase, it does not grasp, it does not demand proof. It rests in knowing that the field is responsive, that observation shapes form, that focus is the ultimate instrument of creation. From this place, life becomes less about struggle and more about alignment, less about forcing outcomes, and more about choosing where to shine the light of awareness. The power lies in simplicity. To pause, to breathe, to notice where attention has wandered, to gently return to possibility. This is the work. To resist the temptation of constant judgment, to release the need to control appearances, to rest in presence. This is a practice. Over time, the nervous system adapts, the unconscious reprograms, coherence strengthens, and reality bends. The invitation is profound yet simple. Observe as if what you wish already exists, not with desperate longing, but with calm presence, not with grasping, but with gratitude, not with force, but with faith. The field responds not to your words, but to your state. When your state aligns with your vision, the wave collapses, and what was once unseen becomes visible. The unconscious is often the quiet architect of reality, shaping far more than the conscious mind realizes. While you may speak affirmations of abundance, the deeper layers of thought may still hum with scarcity. While you may visualize love, an old wound may whisper unworthiness. These hidden currents, running unobserved, emit signals that the field receives with equal precision. The quantum field does not prioritize what you want. It reflects what you consistently embody. This is why so many feel caught between desire and experience. They wonder why their intentions do not manifest, why visions remain distant, why progress seems fragmented. The answer is not that the universe withholds, nor that destiny denies. It is that the unconscious continues observing a different reality than the one the conscious mind attempts to create. The dominant broadcast always prevails. Becoming aware of this truth does not mean falling into despair. It means awakening to the deeper layers of creation. To transform your life, you must become an observer not only of the external world, but of the internal landscape. You must notice the habitual thoughts that drift by unnoticed, the reflexive emotions that flare without conscious choice, the old narratives that replay like background music. Each of these is an act of observation, silently collapsing possibility into form. Awareness dissolves their power. When you catch yourself in a familiar loop of self-doubt, you have already weakened its grip. The moment you observe it consciously, you create space between yourself and the pattern. That space is choice. In that gap, you may redirect your focus, gently but deliberately, toward another possibility. The old pattern may return for habits of momentum, but each redirection strengthens coherence with the reality you choose. Over time, the new focus overtakes the old, and the unconscious itself becomes reprogrammed. This process is both ancient and modern. Ancient practices of meditation, mindfulness, and self-inquiry train seekers to notice the subtle movement of thought and to redirect them toward higher states. Modern neuroscience now measures the results, shifts in neural pathways, changes in brainwave activity, restructuring of identity itself. The science and the spirituality converge on the same truth. What you repeatedly observe becomes who you are, and who you are becomes what you experience. To live from this awareness requires a new definition of discipline, not the discipline of force, where you battle your mind, but the discipline of consistency, where you return again and again to chosen focus. The field does not require perfection. It requires persistence. It requires the willingness to choose coherence more often than incoherence, possibility more often than limitation, love more often than fear. Each choice is small, but together they form the momentum of transformation. This is why observation must become sacred practice. Each moment of attention is not casual. It is creative. Each emotional investment is not trivial. It is instructive. The field reads your state, not your words. To declare abundance while vibrating with lack is to send mixed signals. To affirm love while resonating with rejection is to confuse the blueprint. But when thought, feeling, and belief unite in harmony, the signal is clear and the reflection follows. The silent observer is the key to sustaining this practice. The silent observer does not fight the old patterns, nor does it indulge them. It simply sees. It sees thoughts arise and pass. It sees emotions swell and fade. It sees stories repeat and dissolve. From this elevated vantage, you are no longer captive to the unconscious. You become the witness who chooses where to place the light of awareness, and what you illuminate becomes your reality. This witness does not need external validation. It does not wait for circumstances to prove what it already knows. It understands that the field responds to frequency, not evidence. Therefore, it observes the desired reality as if it already exists. It feels gratitude before the manifestation, love before the relationship, abundance before the wealth. It embodies a state of already having, knowing that the reflection must eventually align. This practice is not delusion. It is participation. It is choosing to collapse the unseen into the seen, not because the current reflection demands it, but because consciousness commands it. The old self may resist, clinging to proof, replaying memories, demanding security. But the quantum self understands that the only authentic reality is what is stabilized within awareness. The external world catches up only after the internal world has chosen. The transformation is subtle yet profound. You cease reacting to what is and begin creating what will be. You stop feeding the same cycles with attention and begin energizing new possibilities. The mirror changes because the source has changed. Life reorganizes because focus has shifted. Circumstances bend not through effort, but through coherence. Consider the practice of what might be called a reality audit. Throughout the day, notice where your attention goes. Upon waking, do you observe worries or possibilities? During work, do you focus on frustrations or opportunities? As you rest, do you review what went wrong or appreciate what went right? The answers reveal the signal you are broadcasting, the frequency you are stabilizing, the reality you are collapsing into form. Awareness of this is not judgment. It is empowerment. For once you see, you may choose differently. The most remarkable truth is that the field is neutral. It does not punish nor reward. It does not assign meaning nor morality. It reflects faithfully, without hesitation, without distortion. This neutrality is your greatest liberation. For if it does not judge, it does not limit. If it does not condemn, it does not restrict. There are no gatekeepers of possibility. Only agreements you make through observation, and those agreements may be rewritten in every moment. This reframes every challenge. No longer do you ask, why is this happening to me? Instead, you ask, what does this reveal about my observation? Circumstances cease to be proof of powerlessness and become feedback about focus. Every event is a mirror showing you what you've been broadcasting. With this awareness, you reclaim authority. You stop battling reflections and begin reshaping the source. The implications stretch across all areas of life. In relationships, when you stop observing betrayal and begin observing trust, dynamics shift. In health, when you stop observing weakness and begin observing vitality, the body responds. In finances, when you stop observing scarcity and begin observing flow, opportunities align. The field does not care whether you call these miracles or mechanics. It responds the same way, with precision to your observation. This is why identical external circumstances can lead to entirely different realities. Two people may face the same setback. One collapses a timeline of despair. The other collapses a timeline of growth. The difference is not circumstance. It is observation. And because observation is always your choice, the power always rests with you. To live this truth fully is to awaken as a conscious creator. You no longer wait for life to prove what is possible. You decide what is possible and hold that observation until it manifests. You no longer beg for change. You embody change. You no longer chase outcomes. You attract them through coherence. This is the mastery of the observer, effect applied to daily existence. In this mastery, life ceases to be a sequence of struggles and becomes a field of creative expression. Each moment is a brushstroke, each thought a color, each emotion a texture. The canvas is infinite, and the artist is you. What emerges is not predetermined. It is sculpted by the precision of your focus and the consistency of your observation. The miracle lies not in controlling reality, but in recognizing that you are reality in motion. The observer is not separate from the observed. They are one and the same. To shift what you see, you shift how you see. To alter the reflection, you alter the observer. In this unity, creation flows effortlessly, endlessly, infinitely.